So another episode of Design to Heal. Welcome. And again, we are designed to heal. I see it all the time. We are designed to heal if we want. It's Paul, and I'm coming at you from Barcelona Harbor and talking about EMDR again. Again, EMDR is so helpful to pull apart these ancient beliefs that we accumulated an eternity ago in younger life when we encounter deeply traumatic circumstances. And these deeply traumatic circumstances are sort of trapped memories that are oftentimes disconnected and jumbled and have great difficulty coming to the frontal lobe where in CBT and talk therapy people can have a sense of calm, rational discussion. Very difficult. EMDR bypasses that, and it allows the right side, left side brain in bilateral stimulation to approach these memories in a remarkably calm way, and allows these memories to be attached to beliefs, right? And so we have that left brain, which is people, place, things, time, sequence, right? And that right brain, which is formulating meaning and ideas and imagination and intuition, and we put these together in this world of meaning and belief in the midst of deeply traumatic episodes. And what I want to talk about today is whatever the hell it means, manning up. We have such a great difficulty with that, especially in America, and in Asia in a very different way, right? In America, manning up, I hear it from so many different people in different ways, where it concerns the father, where the mother is at a loss either because the father dies, that her husband dies, or her husband has a substance abuse problem or a rage problem, or has all of this generational trauma, or just never learned how to be a father figure who was a supporting, loving, kind uh, um, source of comfort and stability. And that's just what we often get sometimes. And I think there was an awful lot of that going around with Gen X fathers. And I'm just very dubious about this whole helicopter parenting that, millennials and Gen Z got. I don't see a lot of that. I just think there's a lot of myth around that. And, we now know that as the millennials are aging, Gen X is aging. Gen X actually has a higher divorce rate than boomers, right? So it's the highest divorce rate of all the generations so far between the boomers and the millennials. And so, what the hell does manning up mean? I think I've worked with many guys who have dealt with fathers who were either incapacitated or had permanent disability or had died or had cancer or alcoholism. And suddenly, whether a son is whatever 13 or 14 or something like that, or 15 or 16, and is suddenly told, hey, you better help get your father, help him get sober. You better help out by manning up and sort of being the man of the house if since your dad died, or you better get out there and get a job, and figure it out. And so, that is part of that, whatever, that rugged individualist, element of American culture where people are thrown into the deep end at a young age. And very often we just never got a manual. And the culture of the last 15 or 20 years has been, a big part of that, this culture of whatever sensitivity and treating men with greater dignity and a sense of love and comfort and provider. It grates on American culture because that's not the way we've done it in the past, when we had to grow up alone, on the ranch in the West, alone with just the family. And I personally find that anachronistic and silly and ridiculous because guess what? The Wild West, the Old West, lasted for about 10 years. We need community. We need the village. We need collective action, or we can't function as a society. This is so obvious, right? We need collective protection, right, from the elements, from enemies, from the outside enemies, from floods, right, from all the things that happen all over the world. And so I find a lot of this demand for rugged individualism of a 13 or 14 or 15-year-old boy absurd, especially because very often other male figures, whether it's uncles or grandfathers or whatever, never bothered to sit down and tell these younger people, this is what manning up means. This is what we need to do. Here's the manual. Here are the things. Here is my phone number. I want you to call me anytime, right? Um, and that just is not, that doesn't happen. And so guess what happens when these people get into adulthood? And I had to do that as well. I had to help my mom, try to get my dad sober. And I didn't know what on earth I was doing. And nobody ever asked me to do anything. And, a couple of things happen. The first thing that happens is that the person's identity in the family gets they call it being enmeshment, right? Wait a second here. Am I a son? You need to tell me, am I a son? Am I a husband? Am I a father to my father? Am I a husband to my mother? Am I a son? Am I just a son? And so these identities get mixed up. They get enmeshed. They blur, and this creates a lot of problems later on in relationships because I go into it and I am supposed to be, guess what people do when they go into the relationship? Oh, I'm the man of the house. That's what I came to believe, or that's what I was told I needed to believe as I came into relationships with women. Or I was supposed to fix my dad. Or more importantly, I was supposed to fix my mom, right? My dad asked me to help fix my mom. And my mom is broken. She had whatever, she had alcoholism, or had mental illness, or she was a child of a refugee, a war refugee, or had abuse of some sort or another. And guess what straight men do? They will seek out the wounded woman because that's what they learned about how to cope with women, how to deal with women. I need to find a woman that I can fix because that's what my dad asked me to do with my mom, right? Help fix her, right? And my dad never told me how I'm supposed to fix her, right? And same thing, right? With the father, right? So my mom asked me to help fix my dad. I couldn't do it, so I must be a failure as a man. And so again, before I understood and came to appreciate and wrote that book on EMDR and got authorized and finished up all my training in it, I was always asking myself, what are we supposed to do with these realities, the understanding of what happened to me? Because that is what CBT does. Talk therapy allows me to understand it. Well, that's not good enough because I think in human behavior, it's not good enough for us to understand what happened. We need to go deeper and figure out what beliefs we acquired at the time during a moment of stress or panic or helplessness or coercion or do or die, or this is a test of my manhood, a test of my masculinity, and I didn't know how. And so I must be a P word. I must be a failure, or I'm going to keep on trying to find women to fix because I could never fix my mom, or I'm going to avoid men forever because my dad was an angry OB alcoholic. So all men are my dad. All women are my mom. These are the toxic beliefs that go way beyond understanding, and they are irrational. Beliefs are not rational. Beliefs are emotions. Beliefs are attached to emotions. This is what EMDR is really great at, is helping a person to link um, actions with emotions, and the combination of the action with the emotion gives us language. It gives us a way to talk about trauma, which is brings the fear down. And when we talk about that trauma, then we can get some detachment, and we can take a deep breath, and we can say to ourselves, okay, with the help of an EMDR specialist, hey, what do you think you came to believe about yourself when it was time for you to do what people told you to do? Well, I have to be the man of the house or I'm a failure. I have to fix my mom, or I'm going to have to keep fixing women until I feel like I have achieved, some success. Or if I can't fix my mom's mental problems, there's no hope for me with women. Or if my mom is crazy, women are crazy. My own belief was, if my dad is an angry, Mr. Angry, he was terrible PTSD, very angry alcoholic, well, all men are going to treat me poorly, right? So I came to expect that. I came to expect poor treatment from men because that's just the way it was. And so that was a belief that I was dumbfounded when these beliefs get exposed. A lot of the times, happily with EMDR, 99% of the EMDR that I've done with people, where I say, wow, do you think this belief was ever true? And the person will say, wow, no, as it turns out, something I believed for 15 or 20 years, turns out it isn't true. And oh my God, what I believed about my girlfriend, oh my God, was the same thing I believed about my mother. That I was trying to make her better. I was trying to let her overcome her mental um, her mental anguish, right? And by the way, the really interesting thing is, guess what these men do who were asked to fix their mother and couldn't? They will seek out women who have mental anguish. They don't want a normal woman. They don't want a happy person because there's nothing to fix. And I had a lot of that in my life. As a gay man, I didn't want to have a happy person. I wanted to have somebody I could fix because my mom asked me to help fix my dad, and I had no idea what in the hell I was doing. I had no idea about addiction or alcoholism or the disease or whatever the hell it was, 12-step programs or anything, right? But the help was there. And of course, what we are what we were dealing with in the 80s, right, was a very primitive understanding of mental health in America. And we still deal with that in Asia. And in Asia, we are dealing with still a lot of taboos out there, a lot of fear about mental illness within the family unit. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's getting better. And in some ways, with men in Asia, it's quite the opposite because, so much I lived in Asia for 25 years. And so I feel like I can speak with some degree of generality. I think you have a more communitarian approach to the unit, and a much deeper, profound sense of filial piety, where the son owes a lot more to the unit, to the family unit, to keep it going, to keep it together, to to have respect for father and mother, almost without question, and to deviate from that and to insist on some kind of rugged individualism is would be inappropriate, maybe rude. Like, who do you think you are? Where do you think that comes from? And I think the world is becoming more nativist all over the place. And so these kinds of behaviors are being frowned upon more in Asia, as authoritarian figures in many Asian countries are insisting on this a greater enforcement of communitarian ideas. And so these are things where there's a lot more taboo. There's a lot more at stake here with dealing with mental health issues in the Asian context. And so that's something I have spent a lot of my time in Asia dealing with this, especially in the area of addiction, which is still a bit of a taboo subject. And so these are things, and EMDR is a beautiful, beautiful way to address these issues in the context of peace, in the context of quiet confidence, in the context of a gentle approach to understanding where the false beliefs come from, or perhaps even more importantly, what beliefs no longer work or are no longer relevant, or where we need to have a new understanding of ourselves in the context of our family. So that's it for this week. Again, happy holidays, and we will see you soon. But again, we are designed to heal no matter what. I see it all the time. EMDR is a beautiful process to understand what happened during trauma, what happened to me, how I felt in the trauma, and what I came to believe in the trauma, whether it's individual instances or an extensive trauma. And so get a hold of me. If you want my audiobook, please feel free to give me a shout. And I'm happy to give you my audiobook or the PowerPoint, which is about 160 pages and goes through in great detail how and what and why EMDR works. Okay, happy day.